This Bengals victory recap episode of the Oranges, Orange and Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network, is brought to you by our presenting sponsors, Aligned Health Center and The Place. We love Aligned Health Center and The Place. Been with us all season. Aligned Health Center is the first chiropractic biophysics clinic in Northern Ohio, serving patients in the Westlake and Beechwood, Ohio areas. The team at Aligned Health Center helps patients with back pain, neck pain, migraines, ADHD, digestive issues, sleep disturbance, whiplash, scoliosis, and much more. If you're experiencing any of those symptoms, check out our friends at Aligned Health Center. Their mission is simple: to help people in the Westlake and Beechwood areas achieve the best possible health and overall wellness. Call Aligned Health Center today at 440-230-6865 or visit their website at alignedhealthcenters.com. Make an appointment, learn about how they can help you with any of those symptoms. Again, that's 440-230-6865 or visit alignedhealthcenters.com. This episode was also brought to you by The Place. The Place is the place for all of your hot tub, spa, fireplace, and outdoor grill needs. The Place has been in business for 52 years, all family owned and operated. They are a full-service fireplace and spa superstore. They have a newly renovated 16,000 square foot showroom with 40 live burning fireplaces and 40 hot tubs and swim spas on display. And this is super cool, listen to this, they've been voted North America's #1 service center by Coast Spas 2 of the last 4 years. Gotta love The Place. Their continued follow-up and product service sets them apart from their competitors. The Place is not happy and satisfied until you, the customer, are happy and satisfied. Visit The Place on 2377 Medina Road today. Look for the palm trees to transform your backyard into the backyard of your dreams. When you think of fireplaces, hot tubs, grills, and patios, think The Place. In this episode, Jeremy and I break down the Browns' 27-19 victory over the 1-2 Cincinnati Bengals. Jeremy gives us 5 hot minutes presented by Online Motor Credit. We look at the silver linings and pass out game balls. We have a lot to talk about in this episode with OBJ, Baker calling out the training staff, and the Browns' future. So let's get right to it. Jim Donovan, take us away.
45-40, run, William, run! He's got blockers in front, 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribbs! Snap back, ball down, kick block! They blocked the kick!
This is the Oranges, Orange and Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I am your host, Chase Smith, and with me, as always, Browns insider Jeremy Powell. Jeremy, Victory Monday, question mark?
It is. Cut it out. Stop the dumb stuff. I'm so sick. Oh, that didn't feel like a win. Shut up. It's a win, baby. We went 1-31. It's hard to win an NFL game. The guys on both teams get paid. We won. Stop with this millennial whining, Chase.
Well, let's get things started with 5 hot minutes with Jeremy Powell, presented by Online Motor Credit. Jeremy, go.
That's 2 things I want to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is just that. I am so sick of it. At the game, okay, I was at the game. I don't know if you saw my tweet. I was hanging out 2 guys that played tight end for Kent State. One was 6'5", one was 6'4". I'm 5'7". That was an awkward session of hanging out. I never felt more 5'7" in my life, if you know what I mean. I felt so short, but it was a blast. But listen, Chase, leaving the stadium, watching the game there, and leaving. I wasn't on Twitter very much because I was with buddies. I didn't know that everyone was like all upset about the win. Like being at the game, it just felt like a win. We won. Yeah, I was upset they didn't run the ball in the first half. Yeah, there was some weird stuff that happened, but it was a win. I left there in a great mood. Drove home, got on Twitter, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Everybody just so upset. Look, I've said this before on this show. I will never be so arrogant that I will not enjoy a win. I enjoyed a win. It's a division win. You know, it's the first time since 2002 we beat the Bengals, Steelers, and the Ravens all in the same year. Okay? A win is a win. We won the game. Okay, now on to the drama, the OBJ drama. I'm split completely on this, Chase. Part of me thinks it's smart to trade him. And yet I don't want to bash him and say he's not that good. Like I heard Rizzo go on his whole rant today, him and Hammer saying he hadn't been good since Obama was president. Look, last year he averaged 85 yards a game. That was good for 8th in the league from wide receiver. He had almost 1,100 yards in only 12 games. He was on pace for over 1,400 yards. I think we'll all agree that a 1,400-yard, 9-touchdown season from a wide receiver is really good. As a matter of fact, that would be the second best year in the history of the Cleveland Browns, by the way. So to say he's not good is a complete myth. I heard them say he never gets open. He's always open. If you sit, Chase, you've sat where I sit, right? You can see everything that happens, right? You
Yeah.
can see him running open all the time. The guy is open, period. You know, OBJ's bad season does not fall squarely on OBJ. Baker has some of the blame in this, and probably Freddie has some of the blame as well. Now, all the drama, I do hate the drama. I'll be honest. I kept overlooking it because I think OBJ is such an immense talent. And and then the other part of me, Chase, I'm like arguing with myself over this because there's part of me that hates the fact that he was asking people to come get him. But then I know how guys talk. I could see him going up, walking up to Tom Brady saying something like, man, I'd love to throw to you. And him saying back, yeah, come get me then. You know what I mean? Like it could be an informal joke. You see that kind of stuff all the time. So the part of me is really, really split on this. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, well, his trade value sucks. You wouldn't get a third round for him. Give me a break. I can tell you right now, the Patriots, the 49ers, who had said openly that they were mad that the Giants didn't give them a chance to counter the offer the Browns made and they could have gave him a better offer. The 49ers would love to have him. The Patriots would love to have him. The Eagles would love to have him. They don't have any receivers. So if you're trying to tell me there's not a market for Odell Beckham Jr., who's, by the way, still has 4 years left on a contract, I say you're crazy. There is definitely a market for Odell Beckham Jr. Now, I swing back to the other side. How are we going to replace him if we do get this thing fixed, right? I mean, it's just one of these things where talents like OBJ do not walk through the door every day. And whose fault is it that he hasn't had a great season? Do you fault Baker? Do you fault Odell? Do you fault the coaching staff? You know where I stand. I think we have 2 of the top 10 backs in the league, and we should be a run-first team that operates mostly out of the play-action game, which I think Odell would be great for, taking more shots downfield. Baker has not taken the shots downfield he took in the last 8 games last year when we were running a lot of, double tight sets with 2 receivers and running play action from under the center. So I don't know. It's such a tough scenario. And yes, I hate all the drama that comes with Odell Beckham Jr. I really do. However, I'm torn on the fact that we've had such a devoid of talent at the wide receiver position. Where do we go from here? What is your take on this, Chase?
I think the OBJ drama is much ado about nothing. And here's why. We have LSU wide receiver coach Adam Henry. We have his best friend in Jarvis Landry. And it seems like a competent quarterback in Baker Mayfield. I think the hysteria around OBJ drives clicks. It drives traffic to your site, to your blog, to your article. And I think it's completely bogus, Jeremy. I really do. I get more fed up about trading OBJ talk than I do should the Browns tank talk. I really do. And that was pretty humorous last week.
Yeah.
I think now, again, I don't know Baker at all. I don't know his relationship to those, fairly common knowledge. It seems like a really good community around him. I don't know what that relationship is like right now, but here's what I do know, that it is a environment that he's never had before. He's never had this support, this accountability, or this community in any other team when he was with the Giants. And now, like, it's okay to be upset for losing. I think everyone, including fans, everyone's just like, man, this season, the what if season, this season is not what we thought it was going to be. It's okay to be upset. I think he has a situation where he likes the people that he's around. Again, this is all just per conjecture. I just think he's upset with the outcome. I think he's upset with Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah.
I heard that he was injured before the game, and I was like, oh man, the Browns are setting up to shut him down if we lose this game. Like I saw the pieces start to fall into place that if we lose against the Bengals, they're going to shut him down, and that's going to be it. But I think he was injured. I mean, he was injured at the start of the season, whether it was a sports hernia or whatever.
But
I don't
did
know.
Did you see also though? Did you see though, Chase, that he actually told Josina Anderson that he might not need surgery? So there's actually conflicting reports on whether he has. If you have a sports hernia, it has to be fixed with surgery, right? And so he told Josina Anderson, according to her, that he may not need surgery after the season. Yeah. So there's a little bit of, conflicting reports and interesting stuff going on here. And I think that's part. I think you're right. I think OBJ's frustrated. And why wouldn't he be frustrated?
Right.
Everybody thought this was going to be, even him. You remember him saying before the first game when people were asking if him and Baker had enough time to get on the same page, and he goes, he's like, ask me after the game if you think that, like cockily, like he's gonna have a huge game. So I just think it's frustration. It didn't go as he thought. And like you said, he has a good support system here. Him and Jarvis are best friends. He's got his coach from college. And I just think it's frustration. If he comes out and has 2 big games in the last 3, I bet you we don't hear a word of it. If they find a way to upset the Ravens and he plays a big part of that, I think this all goes away. But, we have won 4 of the last 5. It's just –
That's an insane stat. That is an insane stat to really believe that we've won 4 of the last 5. It does not feel like we've won 4 of the last 5.
We're 6-7. We have a chance to have like the Browns, second best season since they've been back record-wise.
Unbelievable.
And
hey, I was thinking earlier, was this the season that Zagura got suspended? Was that this season as well?
The 8-game suspension. No, that was last year, right?
Okay.
No, that was this year. No, that was this year. Golly, this season has been so long. No, wait. He missed 8 games.
It was this year. It was against the Jets.
Yeah, that was this year. Because Dustin Fox filled it. My goodness, this thing's all blending together, doesn't it?
Anyway, so I can't
remember if it was this year or last year.
I thought about that this week, and I was like, man, in all of these talks, I'd not seen that on any list or anything. That was just another thing. Another thing, Baker Mayfield's comments at the end of the game, I think, were really, really telling and interesting. Again, looking completely disheveled, sounded like we lost. He didn't sound like we won. I haven't seen a post-game speech, Jeremy, yet. I mean, if we've won 4 of the last 5, I haven't seen one post-game locker room celebration. Have you?
I did. The ones I think it was last week's somebody shared it. I saw it the other day. It was, not inspiring in any way.
I mean, the first – they're not going to show the Pittsburgh locker room.
It might have been the Miami. It might have been the Miami. It might have been the Miami game, the Miami win. But it did get leaked out by somebody. But, yeah, it was nothing, nothing that was all that memorable.
Baker knew throwing the medical staff under the – what that meant. I think that was a sign to OBJ.
I think the opposite.
Hey, man, I got your back. Like, I am frustrated too. And I think Baker took one for the team there. I really do.
I think the opposite. I think that when he said it, he wasn't thinking about the ramifications of that. I think it was just him just saying something, because that's what he had that apology out on Twitter. 20 minutes after
it was
the
in his
press conference,
drafts, dude. It was in his drafts.
I don't know. I don't think it was planned. I think he just said it, and maybe you're right. Maybe it was him sticking up for his boy. Whatever the case may be, I think it was a bad play. I mean, I don't know. The Browns training staff, by all accounts, has been excellent. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't have a good, strong opinion on that. Except that I think it was a mistake. We'll just agree to disagree.
I would be floored if we traded OBJ. I think it'd be a bad decision. I think he's one of the elite receivers in the league. I think paired with Jarvis, they make an incredible team. I think they open up things in the running game. I think him buying cleats for the entire team. I think he might be one of the most misunderstood athletes in the NFL, Jeremy. I really do. I think he's incredibly passionate. I think he loves to succeed. He loves to execute. And when that doesn't happen, he's really passionate. I think he loves
I agree.
He loves being here. I mean, he bought the team. He understands the toll that he brings. He understands the package, the media. He understands that. And I think that's why he's trying to, buy everyone these shoes to say, hey, like, I understand what this looks like. I'm sorry. In his own unique way. I would be floored if they traded him. I think if we traded him, it would be a terrible, terrible decision. And I let him play out his contract, let him grow with Baker, get rid of Freddie. My God, I think it all comes back to Freddie. I'm done with Freddie. I don't care. He needs to go. I'm seeing Ron Rivera halftime speeches that get me fired up. I'm seeing
let me see the Mike McCarthy video.
Mike McCarthy, that's making me want to cry. And, like, hire him on the spot. He's having like weekly meetings with his coaching staff, not even on a team. They're just keeping up with the league.
And he's paying them. He's paying them out of his own pocket. He hired them. Crazy, right?
That last question where it said, "Why are you doing this?" And did you see like when he got choked up?
Yeah,
I
cried and
understood that so much. This summer I went through kind of like a job change, and I understood that answer, even though he didn't really give an answer. Like, I understood that when it's in your blood, when it's something that you are just built to do, and your family knows that, and you believe that that's what you're placed on this earth to do, you just have to do it. And he didn't say that. I can tell there was a lot of just like unfortunate conversation situations. Either of them is fine. Anyone but Freddie, Jeremy. That's where I meant anyone but Freddie. Josh McDaniels, sure. Lincoln Riley, whatever. Coach Day, sure. Anyone Dude, I'd hire freaking you, Jeremy. Whatever. Anyone but Freddie. That's where I'm at. And I think it all comes down to him. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And then even on that now, I'm a little. I mean, what has Freddie been dealing with behind the scenes that we don't even know about? And then the front office is being so quiet. It's such an interesting thing. I think I said one time I read that we don't know because it never became public that Freddie only got a 3-year contract. I don't even know if that's accurate because it's never been public. But what if this really was a trial? Well, they gave Mike McCarthy a chance to recharge his batteries. I mean, that's a legitimate possibility, And if Freddie does great. We won. If he does horrible, we fire him and bring in McCarthy. Yeah. So I know where you feel on that. And it's just, it's so tough because to me, it's so blatantly obvious with Chubb and Hunt that they should be the focal point of the offense, and they're just not. And only run the ball, what was it, 3 times in the first half? I know they had the pick six, and that takes away a possession. Because of the pick six, so you have one less offensive possession than you would have had. But it doesn't make sense. You're playing the worst run defense in the league, and then you come out, Chase. Then you come out the first series of the second half and go right down the field doing nothing but run the ball and score a touchdown. It just doesn't make sense.
How can you say he's not the focal point of the offense when he leads the league in carries?
I'm saying the two of them. I'm saying they should be between the two of them. We should run the ball 35 times a game. 35 to 37 times is what I would do. So Chubb is the focal point. I'd make Chubb and Hunt the focal point. And we don't run any. Listen, we never line up with Baker under center and run play action out of that. I just watched the Carolina game from last year. First play of the game when he hit Perriman on that 70-yard pass down to the 5, under center play action.
Man, are we missing Perriman right now? My goodness.
Yeah, I know, right? He was a big-bodied receiver that we don't have. That's a good point. I was talking about that with my buddies at the game is we are lacking that big-bodied wideout, even with OBJ and Landry. They're both guys that are around the same size, right, OBJ and Jarvis. We do not have that big-bodied receiver that you send across the middle to get 7 tough yards and get belted after the catch, Yeah. We are missing that. That's something they got to look at in the offseason.
We're missing that.
Whether they keep OBJ or not.
And the short burner to take the top off Callaway.
Yeah, we need a Connor Cup type, Andy Isabella type, one of those guys. There's 2 or 3 things that are really missing from this team. And all that being said, we're probably going to finish right around 500. So we went from 1-31 to 16-16. So there's improvement there, and we got to fill a couple more holes. You can't fill every hole in the offseason, but we'll see what happens with Freddie. We'll see what happens with the coaching staff.
Jeremy, are we making the playoffs?
Probably not, but there's actually realistic scenarios where we could.
So
there's a chance that Baltimore could clinch this week. If Baltimore wins and the Ravens lose, or if Baltimore wins and the Patriots lose, the Baltimore has home field advantage until the Super Bowl. So how will they treat the Browns game after that? But there's scenarios where if the Titans or the Texans sweep, they play each other 2 of the next 3 weeks. Because of the Texans surprise hammering by the freaking Broncos this weekend, that sets up a scenario where if the Titans sweep them and we tie with the Texans at 9-7, or with the Texans, we would have and if we went out, we would have the tiebreaker because we have a better record in the AFC.
That's if the Steelers lose out as well.
They don't have to though, because they don't have to lose out. They only have to lose 2 of 3. If we finish tied with the Steelers, we'll also have the tiebreaker. If we both finish 9-7. Because of the AFC record. We have the tiebreaker with the Steelers. We have the tiebreaker with the Texans. We do not have the tiebreaker with the Titans. The Bills would have to lose out, or the Bills beat the Steelers. There's a bunch of realistic scenarios. If we win this week, we will 100% still be alive come week 16, which is,
okay. And
the game against the Ravens.
Understand this whole playoff record division scenario thing
Sure.
again. The Ravens haven't clinched the AFC North, correct?
I think if they win this week, they do though.
And that's because they have the best overall record, not because they would have the best conference.
The record in the division record means 0, unless there's a unless you're 10-6, 10-6, and you split with the team you're tied with, then they go to the divisional record. Outside of the division, they go to the conference record. So if us and the Texans finish tied, we didn't play each other, so they go to the conference record, which our record, if we won out, would be better in conference than the Texans.
This may come as a shocker to you, but my dad didn't understand the playoff record rules either.
But yeah, so there's realistic scenarios. I mean, if the Titans were to lose out, the Titans could lose out. They play the Saints and the Texans twice. Now they're playing great ball. Tannehill's 6-1 since he took over, so it probably won't happen, but it could. I mean, that's 3 tough games. And Derrick Henry who's been carrying that team and my fantasy team, by the way, has a hamstring issue and he's been battling a hamstring issue the last 2 weeks, and he had to leave the game early this past week. So there's a lot of interesting stuff that can happen, but it all hinges on if we win. It's one of those things I kind of thought the Browns really did win out and they found a way to beat the Ravens at home next week. It would probably end up taking care of itself. But even if it doesn't, going into the week 17, if you go into week 17 after beating the Ravens with the chance to go to the playoffs, I'll take that,
We got 3 games left: Cardinals, Ravens, Bengals. We have one more home game against Baltimore in 2 weeks, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. Will Freddie win out and keep his job? I don't think so. But hopefully, that was 5 hot minutes with Jeremy Powell, presented by our good friends at Online Motor Credit. Online Motor Credit is a family-owned and operated business, the area's first zero-interest in-house financing. They offer zero-interest in-house financing because we understand that life happens. They get it. They understand. Your furnace is out. Your fridge goes out. Your windshield cracks. They get it. Providing good cars to good people at great prices is their motto. They provide a full-service garage with certified techs on hand every single day, from brakes, tune-ups, and suspension work to air conditioning service. Online Motor Credit provides good work at great prices. Located in Ravenna, Ohio, this NFL season, make it Online Motor Credit your first down stop in car shopping. Visit their website at onlinemotorcars.net, and if you use promo code Orange19 at checkout, you'll receive 10% off a brake job on any service work. Also, mentioning Orange19 during the purchase of a car receives a free oil change for 1 year. Every 3,000 miles, go and get those sucker changed. Free oil change. Just mention Orange19. Online Motor Credit, providing good cars to good people at great prices. Jeremy, let's talk about some silver linings from this game. The Browns did win. What did you take away from this game that we can build on?
Well, I mean, Nick Chubb having an incredible year, 15 carries, 106 yards, leading rusher in the league by 40 yards. You know what's amazing about Nick Chubb? Not only is he the leading rusher in the league, he's the 4th leading rusher in the league yards per carry. He's averaging 5.1 yards a carry. Just incredible. What an incredible season. What an incredible player. The dynamic duo of him and Hunt. Hunt had, 40 yards receiving out of the backfield, had that great run around the end, which has been kind of our bugaboo, running the ball in from inside the 5. Chubb, Hunt together. I think if they can lock these two up, it could be the most dynamic running back duo in the league for the next 5 years.
Are we 6-2 since Hunt's been back?
No, we are 4-1. Or 3-1, right? No, he's been back 5 games, 4-1.
Okay.
4-1 since he came back.
Okay. It's pretty cool. What other silver linings we have for the game?
I thought the offensive line played way better this week, and that's actually been proven out with some of the gradings I saw. Kendall Lamb looks to be a better player than Chris Hubbard. Kendall Lamb played right tackle. They brought him in to be a backup left tackle. He got hurt, if you remember, when Greg Robinson got injured that first game, so he'd been battling injuries all year. I thought he played an excellent game. I didn't even – they have Carlos Dunlap. They got some good defensive linemen on that. Geno Atkins. Yeah. That's a solid D-line, no matter how you look at it. Carlos Dunlap had three tackles or 3 sacks last week. And if you looked, actually, I went and looked. The last 3 games, the Steelers' defense had played really well for especially against the pass and creating havoc for everybody they played with the pass rush. They still couldn't stop the run, but they were creating a pass rush. It didn't happen this week. I don't remember Baker getting hit a handful of times, if that. Maybe
Bengals
2 or
had
3
one
times.
Sack. Carl Lawson.
Yeah, Carl Lawson had a sack. I know that, and I don't remember, but he definitely didn't take a beating. There's no doubt he was nothing like the week before.
Geno Atkins had just 1 assist tackle. Carlos Dunlap 5 tackles. That's really it. Their D line was shut down by our offensive line. So
I thought they played well. I think Greg Robinson, after that weird middle of the season benching, the games he's played pretty darn well. Now, he had the concussion and missed the game against the Steelers, but he has played pretty well. I think they'll probably look to bring him back. They're not going to give him a ton of left tackle money, but I think that they'll probably look to bring him back. So I think the offensive line played well. And Denzel Ward with this pick 6. Not only that, though, he had a couple really nice plays on the ball. He played really well. And Redwine, I think Redwine's going to be a player, man. Jake Burns wrote an article about it today. I commented on the game. He almost had the pick down by the goal line where he had made a crazy break on the ball. and he had it in his hands, bounced off his face mask and dropped it. But he broke on the ball really well. He's a physical guy. Buddy of mine who's is a Miami alum and a huge Miami fan told me when we drafted him, he's like, that's the steal of the draft. This guy's going to be a player, and this guy knows football. So I think he looks like he might be a player. Now, I'm not going to get fooled again where after a couple of games I'm completely sold on a guy, but he looks to be a player. Him and Denzel Ward I thought had excellent games.
I think another thing is our defense, even though the Bengals had some drives, we didn't give up a ton of touchdowns and points, kept us in the game, honestly.
Yeah.
They had some long drives, sustained drives. So our defense, even though they had their backs against our end zone a lot of times, either held them a turnover on downs or to field goals. So I thought that was a great look in our defense. Trying to really piece it together on the fly. They've had a lot of injuries, a lot of kind of substitutions they've had to make, and as every team does in the NFL. So I think that's good work on Wilkes, our defensive coordinator, and Dorsey kind of getting players in here that can at least be serviceable. I know every week isn't perfect, but they made it work this week, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. It really is underrated how injured that group has been. I mean, we've been trying to piece stuff together at strong safety since the first Steelers game. We've been, Demarius Randall in and out of the lineup, corners in and out of the lineup. And the defensive line is absolutely ravished right now with Myles Garrett being gone, with Olivier Vernon still, nursing that injury. Actually, Freddie said Olivier could have played this week, but they decided to hold him out for next week, so maybe they get closer to 100%. Vernon next week. But just guys we picked up. Brian Cox Jr., that we picked up off the scrap heap, but playing well. He's in the backfield. He's making plays. So, you got to give Steve Wilkes some credit. Yes, they moved the ball, but the name of the game is points. And, there's lots of bend but don't break defenses in this league that tighten up inside the 20. So the defense, I thought, played good enough to win and made just enough plays to get there.
Let's pass out some game balls, Jeremy. Browns 27-19. The Bengals do cover the last field goal at the end. But who are some game balls in the locker room you'd like to give a ball to?
I think we already just talked about it. Denzel Ward. I think, like I said, he did you know John Ross played that game? No. I thought he did a really nice job. Like we've talked about, Denzel is very, very good against the small, speedy receivers, right? Where he has troubles is against the Cortland Suttons, the big guys of the league, because he's kind of a smaller guy. But we had criticized him for not breaking on the ball well. He broke on the ball to break up a big play down on the sideline. He had the interception, the pick six, which we really needed. My first game ball goes to Denzel Ward.
Yep. I want to give a game ball to a guy that I think we've given a lot to this season. Let me tell you the situation. Browns, we are up by 7, I think, at this point. Comes in, nails a 53-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Austin Seibert having himself a year. I think, what is he, 21 and 24 in the year?
We were up by 8. That pushed it to 11.
Right. Yeah. Just comes in,
Austin Seibert, what a kick. Everyone around me when they came out to kick, that's like, what are you doing? And then he just drilled it. It was probably good from 63, 64 yards. I mean, it cleared by at least 8 yards, right? So that was good from 60 plus, and it was a perfect kick, right down the center.
And was that kicking into the dog pound, or was that on the other end of the end zone?
Away, the opposite end.
Okay.
Nobody kicked 50 yards into
the
Everybody, not just him. Everybody that's kicked in that stadium this year. I don't know what happened. The wind's changed, but it's been 5 years now since they put the new scoreboards in and everything. It used to be those ends were so open that wind came just kicking across there, okay? It doesn't do that anymore because they blocked most of it in. So now it's more of a swirling wind. And I think the way it swirls a lot of the time is right to left. And it really affects that end of the stadium coming. It's like almost pushing from the right to the left. Everything that's missed is missed right, Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's weird.
Yep. So Austin Seibert probably saved the game. That really changed the strategy for the Bengals near the end there. Good job by you, Austin Seibert. Do you have any others to pass out, Jay?
Yeah, and then I want to give one again. I'm going to give one to him every week, Nick Chubb. Some more stuff that I want to talk about with Nick Chubb that I haven't talked about. This guy is the only player in the league that's had 75 or more yards every game of total offense. He's been an absolutely unsung hero. He hasn't even showed up in the injury list once, right? How unbelievable is that? He hasn't even been listed on the injury list. All he does is go out and work his butt off, work hard, keep his mouth shut, be a leader, do whatever the team asks, split, touches with Kareem Hunt, not say a word. This guy is a consummate pro. That's why I want them to sign Hunt long-term so bad as well. I actually found out today, I'd been saying that they should re-up Chubb as soon as they can. They can't until after next season. The rules prohibit him from signing an extension until after his third season. He's on a 4-year contract.
Yeah.
So they can't do anything with him until next year. So good. Give Hunt a 3-year deal, front load it for next year, then worry about it later. But it's just he's such a pro. That's why I think both those guys are unselfish, want to win. Both can make plays. That's why I think, a lot of situations this might not work having two guys that are that good as feature backs. But I think because Chubb is such a leader, Hunt said at one point that that's his best friend on the team and he looks up to him, Having a guy like that as a leader and a player, the guy deserves a game ball pretty much every week. But he is the reason that I think that can work and be one of the most dynamic duo of running backs that the league's ever seen. It could be, essentially, if we get the right coaches in there, right? Yeah. So I just give Nick Chubb a game ball. He deserves one almost every week. Nick Chubb gets a game ball for me.
Watching the game on CBS, they showed a stat, Jay, of active quarterbacks who have games of multiple interceptions. You know what the top 3 were?
Go ahead.
Jameis Winston, Phillip Rivers, and Baker Mayfield.
Bro, I got to do one thing. Jameis Winston. Famous Jameis. Jameis Winston. Yeah, you know what's funny about Jameis Winston? Jameis Winston has a chance to lead. He has a chance to lead the league this year in touchdowns and interceptions.
Yeah,
he's on pace to throw 32 touchdowns and 28 interceptions. It's crazy, right?
No one's ever thrown 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in the league.
He should just do it. He should just throw a couple picks the last week. A couple extra picks. Set that record, baby. We need this. The league needs it.
Baker. And it's not like some of these interceptions, they're not his fault, but dude, come on, man. Like, take care of the football.
You got to admit, though. Yeah, I agree, but Baker does seem to lead the league in bad luck this year, right? That play with David Njoku, come on. I still don't understand how that's an interception.
Jay,
and what's funny is
go ahead.
I was going to say, originally, they rolled it a fumble and a recovery.
Yeah.
And then they said the play stands as called, but they switched it in the official scoring to an interception. And how could it stand as called where at the very least he was down right there next to Njoku because they both touched each other going for the ball, right?
Yeah.
But then they give him 20 more yards. Nothing about that play made any sense. Nothing.
Yeah. So
Disaster.
I think after a couple games you can say it's bad luck, but when it's all season, it's either he's throwing the ball too hard or he is
and that's part of the touch, I think.
Really bad.
His accuracy's off. Yeah.
It's not luck.
Accuracy is off. No, you're right. They say in baseball, a week's a streak, a month's a trend, right?
Yeah.
And so this has definitely been a trend, the bad luck. So, I don't know, man. But there have been there's been a lot of times where he's been saved by Jarvis Landry's incredible catch radius. How many times has Jarvis reached back or pulled up? And another thing, let's give Jarvis Landry credit. He's now 5 yards from 1,000.
He
would have been
game ball.
Yeah,
Jarvis
he would have been
game ball.
It would have been over 1,000. That incredible catch he caught down the sideline where they called him just out of bounds. Where that was. If they would have called that a catch on the field, that would have been a catch. And one of the refs on the field did call it a catch. It was one of those plays where you couldn't confirm either way, if he caught it or not. But the guy, just every game, the Pittsburgh game, we talked about that incredible catch, laying out, hand on top of the ball, hand under. The guy week in and week out, he talks a little, but the guy just goes out, busts his butt, works hard. It's why this season is so frustrating because we've had so much good effort, so many good players and just couldn't do it just right. I know now they said there's a Dova stat. The Browns have faced they had the 4th toughest schedule for the year right now, but they faced they're number 1 for facing the hardest defenses. They faced most of the best defenses, more better defenses than anybody in the league. So there's that. This, like we've talked about a bunch of times, the schedule makers didn't do us any favor because they wanted to get us on TV early. So our schedule is front loaded with ridiculous. If we would have started this, what if the season right now we were 4-1? If we'd started with this stretch of games,
That's
what I mean?
Point.
Yeah, we'd say we're not that good, but then you have some momentum build up, and it's just a different season. So hopefully next year the schedule breaks a little bit different. We play the NFC South. Not the South. We play the NFC East next year. So we get Philly, the Giants, Cowboys, and right now that's the worst division in football.
They're a hot mess.
So our schedule is the schedule is not going to be a step. Washington's not going to be any better. We'll see about the Giants. It doesn't look like they'll be any better. So going to be an interesting season next year.
I'm already excited for next year. I really am. A new coach.
That's us.
Fresh slate, new optimism.
You are. I forgot that you already fired Freddie.
Yeah, I already fired Freddie. I'm already looking ahead to next year. Man, I got destroyed on Twitter.
On to Mike McCarthy.
That was funny.
We're on to Mike McCarthy.
reading some of those
I know.
replies. Man.
I'm sorry. I was sorry to do that to you, but I just had to do it, and it ended up being freaking hilarious.
Oh my gosh, I laughed so hard. It's such a weird. I hate being pessimistic. I'm not a pessimistic person. I promise. You should know that if you listen to the show at all, especially when we were terrible. I think we have reached our ceiling with Freddie as our head coach. And I think that is where there's frustration because everyone knows our ceiling is way better than this. But this is the ceiling under Freddie Kitchens. And with this ceiling, I don't know, man. So,
it's funny. I got to tell you this story. Let me tell you the story real quick, Jace. So you also said that, if you remember, on the last episode after the Caliendo interview, and my uncle who lives in Denver, sort of like my dad, he does not give out compliments easy, shot me a text and said he could not believe we had Frank Caliendo on. He's a giant Frank Caliendo fan, right? 'Cause he listens to a ton of sports talk radio like I do with Mike and all that stuff. So he shot me a text. He goes, "Absolutely tremendous work, young man." He's like, "But tell your podcast co-host, haven't you guys been tanking every season the last 20 years? Don't you want a chance to win the last 3 games?" so that was his message to you. And I had multiple texts about the show, and that was not the only one that mentioned your take about sitting out everybody. So so that was quite a fire take from you, Chase. You got lots and lots of response, both good and bad.
I stand by it. I'm not afraid. If I didn't want people's responses, I wouldn't have tweeted it. So I appreciate the feedback. It's nice to see people are engaged and still want the Browns to win. That's what I like to see. It's I don't want us to not win. I'm frustrated. Yeah. You guys can appreciate that at least. I don't know. I didn't happen. Yep. I appreciate the feedback. Well, I want to give shouts to our presenting sponsors, Alliant Health Center and The Place. Alliant Health Center is Northern Ohio's first chiropractic biophysics clinic. The mission is simple: to help people in the Westlake and Beechwood areas achieve the best possible health and overall wellness. And shouts to The Place. The Place is a full-service fireplace and spa superstore. They've been in business for 52 years, all family-owned and operated, transforming your backyard into the backyard of your dreams. When you think of fireplaces, hot tubs, grills, and patios, think The Place. Also, shouts to Online Motor Credit for sponsoring our 5 Hot Minutes segment. Jeremy, any final thoughts?
No, man. I'm going to continue to root for the Browns to win. Win the last 3. Who knows how the Ravens will be next week if they do clinch home field advantage this week. So just go out and win games, and let the chips fall where they may. Hey, 9-7 would be a decent accomplishment for this team, and I hope they stay together enough, because I still think I tweeted and I told you, I said put it down in ink. The Browns are winning these next 2 games. They already beat the Bengals. I think they're going to go into Arizona and look like world beaters on offense, because that team is done. And their defense is awful. So I think just win those games. Playing meaningful football in December, at the very least, we'll probably be doing that. So win this week, extend the season at least one more week. Let's have some fun.
Well, I'm going to keep telling the team to tank until we lose, because I think it worked last week. So
keep it up. Just
bench Baker, bench Chubb and Hunt, bench OBJ and Jarvis, and start planning ahead to 2020. A little reverse jinx. Come on, Browns, let's go, baby!
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.